Alright guys, welcome to my channel, Crypto Tyke here. I am the inflation avoider and an interesting start to the week. I mean, Zcash for one, looks to be on a bit of a downtrend. Is that bubble bursting? That's a big question. I might have mentioned that I did put in a small order when it dipped to 540, and it was only a small order where I'm not worried should that go back down to nothing, but enough just to have some skin in the game and take advantage of what might be just a dip before it goes on to its next stage. So we'll see what happens with that. But one of the interesting ones, and I think for all you Casper holders, should give you a bit of hope. Zcash probably does a bit as well, looking at the story behind that. But ICP, which has very much been a will it, won't it, probably not kind of coin itself, has struggled this year, and it just doesn't look like it was going to go anywhere. And that's been on an upwards bounce and has taken on a little bit of a life of its own. So I think that's pretty positive, especially if you're holding Casper, to look at that and think, well, Casper certainly could be the type of thing to do the same. But I think it's important that it puts in a positive, puts in a positive, say, 5.5 cents ending to the week, and stays there and then starts pushing up further next week. I think if we can get there, that might lead the way of bigger and better things to come, because I think it's now, as I called it the other day, I think the worst is behind us in terms of altcoins and crypto in general. And it seems to be that way, with Bitcoin rallying a bit and starting to get up to 105k, and that is a positive sign. And if we can see more of it, there is a possibility of it dipping probably by the time this video comes out, interestingly enough. But that shutdown looks to be coming to an end, the United States government shutdown, and that will surely make life better for crypto, with certain things that are going to be discussed and passed over after that shutdown. So that could impact crypto and mean we start to see the benefits that we haven't seen, because as I've said all along, this is going to happen if we're going to see these crazy prices we want to see for alt season. Or some people are saying, what's alt season now? But if we're going to see any real major decent prices, it means people have to be shaken out and convinced it's not going to happen. And I think we have passed that point well and truly, even though from what I've seen, some of the key indicators are saying no, we are actually still in positive ground. And that is interesting, and again, a good reason to feel cheerful. I mean, if you've been able to pick up some alts and get some bargain price in Bitcoin as well, then you've done all right out of this dip. Forget what the unrealized losses or unrealized profits might look like, but it's what is going to happen. And that's why I'm an investor, not a trader. I'm not after turning things around in a week, so I can afford to sit back and wait for things to play out and take advantage of dips when they happen. And I did that. Like it says, I have taken a little gamble with Zcash because it had dipped to the 540 mark, and I thought it is a good point for an entry just to see what happens and take advantage of that. Just let it ride, because it's not enough in there for me to worry about it should it go back to nothing, and is a lot to be gained should this continue. And we're coming into the next weeks and November and December, and even though it's, I think, 6 weeks into its journey, usually you're looking at around 10 being as much as it's going to go before things start falling back down. But With that in mind, that still gives a bit of scope for growth in a very positive time. And this is, I think, the beginning of it. As I said before, this comes out, prices may have gone down a little bit, but I think they are going to start popping off soon. So we will be rewarded for our patience, hopefully, if we can take profits along the way, of course. And this is a crucial point, I think. I think it's going, if nothing positive happens over the next 4 weeks, then it is going to be a depressing place. Very depressing for anybody holding alts. And, it might mean reevaluating one or two things. For me, I don't think anything really changes anyway. I am where I am, and my strategy has not changed. But hanging there is the key. That's all I can say. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and if I was a financial advisor, I probably wouldn't be in crypto, but I am where I am. And it is the one place where there is the chance to make more money than other ways of making money. So it would be foolish of me to press the stop button when I'm not really losing much should it not do anything, and there's so much upside potential. So plenty of things on the horizon to look forward to, and what we just want to see is just those clouds lifting a little bit. That's, I think, the main focus. It's just been depressing for us for too long, and nothing's really been, even when prices were high, well, they weren't high enough to really go, well, that's been brilliant, and make it worth the wait. So hopefully this will be worth the wait. And as I've said, the institutions getting involved with crypto now, and they have changed the game. And I think the game of crypto is changing. And I did predict, I said it might take 4 years, 8 years maybe, before things change for good, but things seem to be moving at quite a pace. So it's impossible to know exactly how this is going to play out. And when I say that, I mean, even when there's a bear market, what's the bear market going to look like? Is everything going to come down like it came down before, or is some things going to hold their value? And that is what I suspect will happen in the future. But could it happen with, say, Bitcoin and Ethereum in this one? Maybe that's a difference, where we'll not see them come down quite as bad as we've seen before. And where the con is, and this is the trick, what will happen is, as usual, and this is a decision I think we've all got to look at from this perspective as well. What a lot of people do is sell everything and either rotate that into stable coins, or some will buy Bitcoin, but they might not buy it straight away. So they're rotating the stable coins, and they're going to wait for Bitcoin to come down, when in fact it comes down a little bit, but not by much. And people who have sold things like their Ethereum and just cleared it all out, when in actual fact what happens with Ethereum is it comes down by about 10%. The drawdowns aren't that bad, and that continues to go up. So people are forced out of these things, where selling, people even with Bitcoin will be, they'll sell the Bitcoin thinking we're at the top, and that top isn't actually the top. That is just more sideways and a little upwards as Bitcoin gets out of the reach of normal people. So I don't know. It would be against the grain of crypto, but as we are starting to see, the rules are starting to change a lot faster than even I were predicting. So we don't know what might happen. We can only speculate, and that's what I'm doing. And one of the things that I've always been useful at is being able to predict. It's not by being psychic or anything, but just probably being really cynical and understanding how things work is And it's not just down to crypto, it's about the world, how it works, how people work, how business and finance works. And I've always been right about things, and I've got a lot right so far in my short time in crypto. Now, some might say beginner's luck. Well, that's fine. But I had that thing that I said that I think it's going to be a game changer at some point, 4 years, maybe 8 years, where it'll be a survival of the fittest that happens with crypto. In other words, there'll only be a handful of coins and the rest will be shit coins. The handful will not drop like everything else does at one point. And the other stuff will go to the bottom and forever stay there and just be basically gambling tokens that you put in your money on just for the hope of a quick pump due to low liquidity. But you won't be able, you'll lose most of the time. And the decent ones that have real world usage and have fundamentals, they won't drop. And this is going to be, especially anything with a limited supply as well, because the people who know, the big players are in and they want them, and you ain't supposed to have them. You know, even in the UK with stable coins, they're making it so you can only have £20,000 worth at any time. Don't know how they're going to enforce that. It should be interesting to see. But the people who know, and there's a lot of big players out there who want a slice of that pie. And what always happens is you and me, the normal people in the street, we get pushed out. And how do you push people out of Bitcoin? You make it so it's barely worth, you can barely get any, and for what you can get, it's that expensive. It's not really going to be worthwhile at all. So if you're buying Bitcoin, now is the time. Michael Saylor saying buy, and he is absolutely right. And I think that is a little warning that buy while you still can. And that will be where my profits will be going into Bitcoin as soon as all of this, well, if it ever comes, this up is over and done with. To be honest, perhaps I should have a bit more in Bitcoin, and we should all have a bit more in Bitcoin. But these are just things to consider. It is times are changing. We don't know exactly what the plan is, but that's just some of my suspicions of how things will look in years to come. Let me know what you think in the comments. Where do you see crypto going? What do you see the future of Bitcoin being? Do you see it in the hands of just the wealthy, with other people just having scraps? Or do you think we can all still benefit? Let me know in the comments. And do hit the like button as well. It helps with the algorithm, and I need all the help I can get. I'll be talking about more in other videos. I'm not sure what I'll be talking about. I'll just make it up as I go along, and whatever catches me interest at the time. But looking for a positive week this week. Casper holders out there, let's hope keeps 5 cents at the very, very least, pushes on to 5.5, and maybe even touching 6. Anything over that, very positive week for Casper, and bodes well for November, or the rest of November, should I say, what remains of November. And then push on into December and see what happens. So either way, we're not far off these questions about what's going to happen with our altcoins being answered one way or another. Let's just hope that we have played it right and we've bought the dips and taken advantage of it, and we are the ones who benefit. Fingers crossed, guys. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and also that bell icon, and I will catch you later. Bye-bye.